Okay, before I start, I'm going to do the please could you like and subscribe thing. I mean, like I say, if you don't like this, you can always unsubscribe. But anyway, Nigel Farage is a little bit upset with the newspapers, specifically the Daily Mail. What's he upset about? They reported that Zelensky, the Ukrainian Premier, Prime Minister, President, whatever, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, he said, or he's reported to have said, that Farage was infected with the virus of Putinism in response to some comments Farage made about who was responsible for the little spat that's going on over there at the moment. And Farage has said, "This is not true, and I have instructed Carter Ruck to do something about this." Who are Carter Ruck? Carter Ruck are quite famous. They're specialist, well, like I say, we'd call them defamation specialists back in the old days, but we're all reputation management now. But what is he saying isn't true? Is he saying that Zelensky didn't say this? Or is he saying, well, even if Zelensky did say this, it's not true. I am not infected with, the virus of Putinism. But realistically, is there anything he can do about it in either case? Well, I'll cut to the chase now. Spoilers. No, there isn't. This isn't going anywhere. And why is that? Well, who can he chase after? If he's saying it's not true that Zelensky said this, well, that's basically needs to go after the Daily Mail and the newspapers that said Zelensky said this. But is there a cause of action there? Not really. I mean, this is all this public interest type stuff. I suppose if it was a case that he could actually prove that, Zelensky hadn't said that, that would be untrue. But has he suffered any serious harm? This is an essential element of defamation now. He'd have to argue that, first of all, it was defamatory. I suppose, saying that you support Putin, would that lower your reputation in the minds of right-minded people? It's always very difficult when politics are involved, because although, arguably, Putin isn't very popular, a court might say, well, people are entitled to have their views, and the mere fact somebody supports a leader that isn't popular, that's not necessarily defamatory. Some people might find it so, but other people wouldn't. If it's a case, though, it seems that he's actually, it's the underlying allegation that he's saying isn't true. So he's saying, no, I am not infected with the virus of Putinism. And we'll come on to what that means in a second. But could he go after the newspaper for that, if Zelensky has said this? Well, no, because even if it's not true, the newspaper's just reporting on what a national leader has said about a very important aspect of politics. So it'd be very easy to argue both that is in the public interest to report, and it was in the public interest to report it in the way they did. Now, Farage will say, well, I need a right to reply, but they've reported on, his denials of this and everything. So it's just out there, and it's for the public to make their own minds up as to the veracity of this story. I mean, could he go after Zelensky? Well, Zelensky said this. The reports have been published over here, but not by Zelensky, unless he's got some sort of press agency that, I suppose if there's a Ukrainian government website that you can view in the UK, then there'd be a publication in the UK, and probably quite a few people have seen this. However, the courts, they're not very keen on this sort of people, suing each other in foreign jurisdictions and things like this, just because something is available in the UK that you can sue in the UK. There's a case called Jamil where somebody did this. There were some quite serious allegations made about people that they were involved in terrorism, and they sued on the basis that the website that was reporting this was viewable in the UK. Although in the trial, the defendants were able to show that like 4 people had accessed the website article, and something like 2 or 3 of those were the claimant and his legal team. But what the court then said is, look, we're not going to entertain these sorts of things anymore. Not only is the game not worth the candle, it's not worth the wick. So no, if you want to sue somebody abroad about something that was said abroad, well, sue them in the relevant country. I'm not particularly familiar with Ukrainian defamation laws. I'll have a look, actually, because I do like a bit of comparative jurisprudence. But yeah, there's no way Farage can go after Zelensky himself, and there's no way realistically that he can go after the newspaper. And now, having worked for newspapers, we always try to avoid defamation cases because they're messy, expensive, and they can be embarrassing. But, the Mail would fight on this because apart from anything else, even the costs, the amount of copy they would get out of this, it'd probably be worth doing just because, the amount of sort of publicity they get over this. Although that can actually elevate damages. Like I say, we don't have punitive damages in this country, but we do have aggravated damages. And the idea is it's not punishing you just for continually pushing it, but the fact that you kept pushing this and you took a commercial view that it was worth the risk of being sued because of the intense increased profits, to say, well, that has aggravated the damages, so you get a little bit extra there. What about the thing I was talking about the other day, the Representation of the People's Act? Because obviously Farage is standing for election now. So as I said, there is the slightly lower threshold there where, he could try and get, an injunction. But again, how's he going to prove? Unless he can sort of get a note from Zelensky saying, I never said this, then it'd be very hard to get the injunction. But what if, he stands for election, he loses, and he says, I only lost because of this untruth in the newspapers about me. Because, I say, they can, overturn, the special election courts can overturn the results. Now, it wouldn't surprise me, actually, if he does lose, that he tries something like this. Because, it's relatively low risk. He could probably, get somebody to fund it for him. And he might just do it just because, keeps him in the news, proves a point. I mean, he's got nothing really to lose by doing it other than some costs and maybe looking a bit daft in the newspapers, but that probably wouldn't be much of a problem for him anyway. But yeah, like I say, I'll do my prediction bit. My prediction is Farage has said he's instructed Carter Ruck to sue the Mail or Zelensky. My prediction is nothing is going to come of this and it's going nowhere. However, my other prediction is if he loses in Clacton or wherever it is, that he does actually make a formal complaint and say, I only lost because of what the newspapers put. But then you see, you'd have to show that his opponent was somehow responsible for this. The mere fact that, third parties can get into trouble for, lying about candidates. And that is an offence, but that isn't enough to overturn an election. You've got to show that it's either at the behest of the candidate, their official agent, or that they are paying the people who spread the false rumours. So there you go. As always, hope you found that vaguely useful, vaguely interesting. I'm just looking across at a river at the moment. There's a family of ducks it's just going past, so I apologise if I look distracted. Hang on, I'll just turn around, you can see them. I hope that's shown up. Speaking of, oh God, I just messed that up now, but never mind. Where am I today? I'm at somewhere called Sunny Corner. It's not particularly sunny at the moment, but it is on a corner. So I suppose trade descriptions wise, can't really complain about it.